The hospital kept a pair of pajamas waiting for him, not in storage, not in a cupboard somewhere with a note attached, on his bed, ready. Because the staff at the military hospital had learned from experience that Sir Adrian Carton de Wiart would be back. He was always back. Shot through the face, he came back. Shot through the skull, he came back. Lost an eye, lost a hand, lost 2 fingers he bit off himself because the doctor wouldn't amputate them. He came back. Eventually, the nurses stopped being surprised and just kept his bed made. He was shot in the face, head, stomach, groin, ankle, leg, hip, and ear. He lost his left eye. He lost his left hand. He survived 2 plane crashes. He tunneled out of a prisoner of war camp. He fought Cossacks on a train with a pistol and 1 arm. He pulled grenade pins with his teeth and hurled them with his remaining hand. He served in the Boer War, World War I, and World War II. 3 wars across 48 years of combat. And when someone asked him what he thought of the First World War, the most catastrophic, horrifying, mechanized slaughter in human history up to that point, he wrote in his memoir, "Frankly, I had enjoyed the war." His name was Lieutenant General Sir Adrian Paul Ghislain Carton de Wiart. The men who served with him called him the Unkillable Soldier. History has not come up with a better name, because nothing else fits. Adrian Carton de Wiart was born on May 5, 1880, in Brussels, Belgium, to an aristocratic family with Belgian and Irish blood. His father was a Belgian lawyer. His mother died when he was 6. His English stepmother sent him to boarding school in England, then to Balliol College at Oxford to study law. He lasted about a year. In 1899, the Second Boer War broke out in South Africa, and the 19-year-old law student made a decision that would define the next 6 decades of his life. He dropped out of Oxford, walked into a recruiting office, lied about his age, lied about his name, signing up as Trooper Carton and claiming to be 25, and shipped out to South Africa to fight in a war he knew nothing about for a country he wasn't a citizen of. He later wrote, "At that moment, I knew once and for all that war was in my blood. I was determined to fight. I didn't know why the war had started, and I didn't care on which side I had to fight. If the British didn't fancy me, I would have offered myself to the Boers." South Africa gave him his first wounds, bullets through the stomach and groin. He was shipped home to recover. His father was furious when he found out. Carton de Wiart didn't care. As soon as he could walk, he went back. He was 20 years old. He had already been shot twice. He had 53 years of war left in him. After the Boer War, Carton de Wiart became a proper British officer. He was commissioned in the 4th Royal Irish Dragoon Guards, served in India and South Africa, played polo, hunted, and lived the comfortable life of an Edwardian aristocrat in uniform. In 1907, he became a British citizen. In 1908, he married Countess Friederike Fugger von Babenhausen, the daughter of an Austrian prince. By all accounts, he could have lived out his days in pleasant obscurity. A minor aristocrat with a Belgian accent, a British commission, and an Austrian wife. Then the First World War started. And Adrian Carton de Wiart finally found the thing he'd been built for. His first action was in Somaliland, East Africa, where he was seconded to the Somaliland Camel Corps to fight the forces of Mohammed Abdullah Hassan. During an assault on a fortified mountain position at Shimber Barris, he was shot twice, once in the arm and once in the face. The bullet that hit his face destroyed his left eye and took part of his ear with it. His friend Hastings Ismay, who would later become the first Secretary General of NATO, was there. He said Carton de Wiart didn't even break stride when the bullet hit. "I think it stung him up," Ismay recalled, as his language was awful. Back in England, they fitted him with a glass eye. It irritated him so badly that he pulled it out and threw it away. He got a black eye patch instead. He would wear it for the next 50 years. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Order. Then he asked to be sent to France. The Western Front. In 1915, during the Second Battle of Ypres, a German shell shattered his left hand. The fingers were mangled beyond repair, hanging by tendons. The surgeon looked at them and said he could save them. Carton de Wiart didn't want them saved. He wanted them off. When the doctor refused to amputate, Carton de Wiart bit off the 2 damaged fingers himself. Later that year, the hand was amputated entirely. He was fitted with a prosthetic. He now had 1 eye, 1 hand, and absolutely no intention of going home. In 1916, he was given command of the 8th Battalion, Gloucestershire Regiment, and sent to the Battle of the Somme, the bloodiest day in British military history. At La Boiselle, Carton de Wiart led his men across no man's land into heavy fire. With 1 hand, he pulled the pins from grenades with his teeth and hurled them at the German trenches. He walked upright through the bombardment, his empty sleeve flapping, his eye patch in place, his language, as always, appalling. 3 times that day, other commanding officers were killed or wounded, and their battalions left leaderless. 3 times, Carton de Wiart took over their commands in addition to his own and led their men forward. He moved back and forth through the worst of the fire, reorganizing, rallying, refusing to go down. For that day, he was awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest decoration for valor in the British military. The citation said he displayed the most conspicuous bravery, initiative, and determination. He wasn't done. Over the next 2 years, he was shot through the skull at Delville Wood. The bullet went in the back of his head and somehow missed his spinal cord. He was shot in the ankle at Passchendaele, shot in the hip at Cambrai, shot through the leg, shot through the ear at Arras. 8 serious wounds in 4 years of fighting. And after all of it, the eye, the hand, the skull, the hip, the ankle, the leg, the ear, the gas, the mud, the millions of dead. He sat down and wrote 7 words that have echoed through a century. Frankly, I had enjoyed the war. After the armistice, Carton de Wiart was sent to Poland as part of the British military mission during the Polish-Soviet War. He fought Bolsheviks. He survived a plane crash. He single-handedly fought off a group of Red Army Cossacks who tried to hijack his train, shooting them with a pistol, one-handed, from inside the carriage. He fell in love with Poland. He bought an estate in the Pripyat marshes. He hunted, he fished, he shot, he rode. For 15 years, the Unkillable Soldier lived in peace. Then, Hitler invaded Poland. Carton de Wiart was 59 years old when the Second World War began. He was recalled to active service immediately. He was sent to Norway to lead a campaign against the German invasion. The campaign failed, not through any fault of his, and he was evacuated. In April 1941, he was being flown to Yugoslavia to take command of British forces there when his plane crashed into the Mediterranean Sea. He survived, because of course he did, and swam to shore near the Italian coast. The Italians captured him. He was 61 years old, had 1 eye, 1 hand, and had just crawled out of the sea after a plane crash. They sent him to Vincigliata Castle in Tuscany, a prisoner of war camp for senior officers. What followed has been described as the Great Escape starring senior citizens. 13 elderly generals and brigadiers spent 7 months digging a tunnel under the castle walls. Carton de Wiart was one of the leaders. In March 1943, 6 of them broke out. Carton de Wiart and General Richard O'Connor set off for the Swiss border, disguised as Italian peasants. The disguise was optimistic. Carton de Wiart was 6'2", had a black eye patch, and was missing a hand. After 8 days on the run, they were recaptured. Even the Italians had to admit it had been a good effort. He spent the rest of his Italian captivity making further escape attempts, none of which succeeded, all of which infuriated his captors. In 1943, after the Italian armistice, he was released and sent to London. Winston Churchill, who admired him enormously, sent him to China as his personal representative to Chiang Kai-shek. He was 63 years old, had been fighting for 44 years, and was now a diplomat. He hated diplomacy. But he did it.
After the war, Adrian Carton de Wiart retired. He had served under 5 British monarchs: Victoria, Edward VII, George V, Edward VIII, and George VI. He had fought in 3 wars across 4 decades. He had been wounded 11 times. He had lost an eye, a hand, and several fingers that he had bitten off himself. He moved to County Cork, Ireland, with his second wife, Joan. He fished. He hunted. He wrote his memoir and titled it Happy Odyssey, because despite everything, despite the blood and the mud and the missing pieces, he had been happy, every minute of it. He died on June 5, 1963, at the age of 83, peacefully, in his bed. The unkillable soldier had to die of old age because nothing else could manage it. There are men in this series who endured one terrible night, one impossible battle, one moment that defined them. Adrian Carton de Wiart endured 48 years of it. Not one moment of horror, a lifetime of them. And he came out the other side and said he'd enjoyed it. That's not bravado. That's not madness. That's a man who understood something about himself that most people never have to confront. That he was built for war, the way some men are built for music or mathematics. It was the thing he was meant to do. And he did it with one eye, one hand, a filthy vocabulary, and the absolute certainty that the universe would have to try harder than that to kill him. It tried. For 83 years, it tried. Frankly, I had enjoyed the war. He had. Every bloody minute of it.